Happy St. Patrick's Day, Jammer fans. Welcome to the Cam Sports Jam. This is no ordinary episode we got for you guys. We are diving into the madness that is the NCAA Tournament. As always, Brad Cameron, your host, joined by my co-host, Mr. Steven Berkheimer, a.k.a. Burketology, the bracketology man himself, and also accompanied by my guest analyst, Mr. Stephen Knight. Stephen, thank you for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me, Brad. Glad to be jamming.
Oh, yeah, you know it. Burke, how we feeling?
Oh, awesome. Excited for the show.
Okay, well, before we get started, I want to give a shout-out to one of our sponsors, our title sponsor, the Good Samaritans Medical Transport, LLC. For all your medical transport needs, call Good Samaritans Medical Transport. Service that exceeds expectations. Okay, before we get into all the NCAA Tournament madness, let's recap some of the local stuff we got going on. First things first. Let's talk Wizards. Yeah, you hear my tone. Let's talk Wizards. Let's talk Wizards. They're slumping. You know, right now, 2.5 games back. Steven, what do you think for us?
I think they need to reset button. I think they need to rebuild. They need to just tank the rest of the season. As painful as it is to hear, they've got a lot of free agents this year, and I think they just need to build around Wall.
Dang, we're throwing in the towel. Says throw in the towel. Burketology, what do you got?
I don't necessarily agree with that. I think that we should not fold the season, but I think we should win as many as we can. Maybe miss the playoffs, but we need to impress Durant if we want him to come here. So I'm still on that train, still hoping that he comes here. So I think losing games is only going to prove that we're not interested in winning.
See, that's the thing. This is what's so tough about that is we are the pretty girl trying to attract Durant. And it's like, how can we put on the best show? Is tanking and getting draft picks the best show for Durant, where it's like, okay, that looks attractive, I want to go there? Or is it, oh, we can win even when we're kind of downtrodden, even when we're, maybe not performing at our best, don't have the best season going? Because obviously, if he comes to the East, there is significantly less competition for, such a talent of himself. But he needs to be confident that he has a team working with him that is at least remotely capable of giving him a chance at a title, a.k.a. winning the East, going to the championship. And it's just tough, and right now I'm starting to wonder. I am starting to wonder. I almost agree with Steven where, at moments I'm like, we just need a tank. We got free agents. It's going to be a mess in the offseason, and we need to really start rebuilding because Oubre doesn't look amazing. Porter, our last couple draft picks, don't look that good yet. It is still very early in their careers, but still, the season's going to end soon. Durant is going to be a free agent soon. Like, we need to kind of either go the route of we're going to draft some players and trust us, or we are clutch and we'll step it up. We promise we'll elevate our games. It's very, very tough. It's hard to say.
I think the ship has sailed on Durant. I think we need to get over that and just move forward and just start to build with newer, younger players. Build to the draft.
Okay, but right now we're not looking at any kind of lotto pick.
That's true. But you have to look towards the future.
I'm getting impatient.
Okay.
We've had a good team and
try to sign some free agents then. But I don't think we're going to get Durant. That's just bottom line. We're not going to get Durant.
But I think if we are going to sign free agents, I think our focus needs to be on getting Durant. I think that is, what free agents are going to accomplish what he can help us accomplish.
That's true, but you got to look at the kind of market that DC has and the attractiveness it has for free agents. It's not very good.
That
you
is
have
true.
to look at LA and New York have much bigger markets and not as complete teams, but they're much more attractive markets.
But
I think Durant is more drawn to those markets.
But DC is his hometown.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
That is true, but I just don't see it happening.
Okay.
When it happens,
there's a lot of speculation about him trying to work out something with Golden State.
I would definitely be the first to buy a jersey. Trust me.
Okay. Well, hopefully he doesn't go to Golden State. Hopefully somehow we can convince him to come here because I think that would be a tremendous acquisition for the Wizards, not only in gaining interest but also in production. Obviously he's one of the top players in the NBA. Would be a fantastic add if we can get him in free agency. It's just a matter of how can we work it, whether we flop or whether we step up. What is Kevin Durant looking for? And obviously he's not vocalizing exactly anything. He's focused on the season, which is fine. Let's jump to another Washington team. Let's go Skins. relatively quiet throughout free agency. Lots of other teams doing big things. Jags, Oakland, bouncing around. Lots of things going on. Burke, what do you got for us with the Skins?
I'm glad it's been quiet. We're usually the ones, Dan Snyder's writing blank checks to everybody who's 40 and older and have been out of the league for 5 years, it seems. But I'm happy with that. My main signing that I like the best is Junior Gillette. I think we needed to keep him on the team. I don't know why it took so long to sign him, but maybe it was just crunching numbers. But he's somebody that we needed to keep, and I think he's going to be a big part of our team next year.
Absolutely. I love it. What do you got, Steve? You like this signing?
I like the non-moves the Skins are making. I like that McClellan is running this franchise just like he ran the Niners. He's making small free agent moves, not any big free agent signings like Skins of the past. He's doing the build to the draft method, which I like.
Mm-hmm.
I can't wait for the draft this season.
Can't agree with you guys more. I think it was vital that we do sign Gillette because I really think the production he can bring to our pass rush is going to be something that is going to be so statistically worth it for signing him for the Skins.
Yes.
Considering we didn't have a tremendous pass rush last year, and considering we're going to have a much tougher schedule this year based on the fact that we're conference champions playing against other conference champions for this upcoming season, we're going to need to find a way to get pressure on some of these top quarterbacks who won their divisions. I love it. I think it's a big thing that we signed him. And I agree with you guys. I think it's good that we stayed quiet where normally we kind of do some kind of boisterous free agency signing and it's kind of ridiculous, something like the Giants, did. But no, I'm happy that we kind of stayed out of some of the chaos that can take place in free agency. Let's get to a happy point. The Caps.
Yeah.
Everyone loves the Caps. They're winning. They've been the best team for years for us. The other night, Caps clinched playoff berth against the Carolina Hurricanes. Steven, what do you think about the Caps this season?
Oh, they're doing unbelievable, Brad. I mean, they're the fourth team to clinch the playoffs. I mean, the fourth team this fast to clinch the playoffs, excuse me. And Hopi needs 6 games to clinch the most wins in a season by a goalie. They'll beat Brodor's record of 48.
Love it. They're absolutely on a tear, and I don't think it's any surprise that people thought they weren't going to make the playoffs. It's no surprise they clinched the playoffs. I think this is kind of just like whatever. Duh, of course we make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
We've made it several years before this. Our last 8 years, we made the postseason. Obviously, we're the number one team right now in the NHL. There was virtually no doubt we were going to make the postseason, but still nice to kind of have that exclamation point where it's like, hey, we're in. Like, where's everyone else at? We're waiting for you guys. We're right here. We're ready. We're ready to go. And I would love to see Holtby pick up some of these other regular season stats and credentials that go with wins like that.
Mm-hmm. He should win the best at the end of the year, and he should be, in all things considered for the Hart Trophy, the MVP of the league.
I agree
because he's been active this year.
Well, you got Caps who are saying he's the MVP of the team.
He is.
Even though we have Ovechkin, even though Kuzi is putting up points.
We have a very offensive team, but if it weren't for Hopi stopping all of these, chances that they get from us being such an offensive team, that we wouldn't be in the position that we're in right now. If we did not have Hopi, we would not have won half the games we would have on our schedule right now.
So true. Hopi has elevated his game almost more than any other player on our team for this year. Burke, you feel the same way?
Absolutely. I couldn't put it in better words myself.
One more thing, Hopi could be Canada's team goalie come this summer in the World Cup. He will have overtaken Price. Price is injured, but he's done the same thing as Price had last year at this point. Who won the best now?
Okay.
And was up for Hart. Didn't win it, but was up for it.
Okay, go Hopi, but I don't know about go Canada. Sorry, I can't.
I'm just saying.
Can't jump on that one.
I'm just trying to say that he has put himself in the position where he's the number one goalie in his nation.
Which is a very, very deep, talented nation when it comes to hockey. So absolutely, very credible. Hopi season, obviously one he will never forget. Fantastic season already, and there's still so much more he's going to accomplish. So that's fantastic. Just a little news update on the Nats. Right now they're in spring training. April 5th is their opening day, but Bronson Arroyo, a little bit of a setback. Turns out he has an 80% torn labrum in his throwing shoulder. Already a depleted pitching staff for the Nats. When it comes to our relievers, this is kind of a knock that we didn't want to have to face. This is really unfortunate that this happened. Really nice acquisition that the Nats got, and it's just unfortunate. It's kind of another deep breath and sigh and just kind of move on. What do you guys think? Anything, Burke? What do you got?
I was okay with the signing. I wasn't ecstatic about it. I've seen him pitch past couple of years. He's definitely dropped off from when he was in his prime. Definitely wanted to see him in that role, since he's not used to that role. But I mean, anytime you have a setback with a key acquisition like that and somebody that can help set up in the late innings, I think it's going to give us a little bit of trouble. We'll just see how we figure it out.
Yeah, Steven?
I mean, I wasn't ecstatic about the signing either, but any addition to our bullpen is probably well needed. And I was excited to see him pitch. I mean, is our bullpen going to be a question all year? We'll see. Well, hopefully not. But
well, we hope that he'll be okay, and obviously we want the best for the Nats and Harper, and we're excited for the season. We need to stay healthy, and we need to show that we can produce. Well, we got more coming for you. We're going to talk NCAA Tournament. We're going to get into the main topics we want to talk about, but don't go anywhere, Jammer fans. We'll be right back. Welcome back, Jammer fans. Thanks again to our sponsors. Can't thank you enough. Appreciate all the help you give us. Silver String Social Sports, one of our sponsors. It's a 21 and up social sports league, including sports such as volleyball, dodgeball, football, soccer, softball, and kickball. Get involved. If you want to do something social, want to play a sport, just want to get involved, feel free to sign up online at silverspringssocialsports.com. I know their football season is starting up this weekend, so if you want to get involved, sign up. Like I said, silverspringssocialsports.com. All right, fellas, let's talk about it. NCAA Tournament. It's here. Long time waited. We've talked Maryland for weeks. We're excited for our Terps. Slightly worried, but still excited. All right, let's talk about Maryland's seeding. Before we talk about the field, let's go over Maryland. Let's find out exactly where they're at in the South bracket. Maryland's got a 5 seed. Let's go over their road to the Final Four. First off, they have a matchup against number 12, South Dakota State. Is this a hiccup? I mean, 12s have been known to beat 5s. Burke, what do you got here for us?
They have been, but that was more so in the early 2000s. There's been one since I think 2005, so I'm not worried about it. They can score. It just depends if we're mentally focused. I don't see us not winning this game.
Well, also Maryland has the second longest first round win streak behind North Carolina. So we know how to win first round games no matter who it's against. We've won 11 straight. North Carolina has a record 13 right now. They lead the nation in first round victories in a row, and we're second at 11. So whatever it is about Maryland, whether it's Williams, whether it's Turgeon, they know how to win their first round matchups. Steve, do you see any problem with this?
Well, with Maryland, nothing would surprise me. I could see them winning the South, and I could also see them losing the first round, and neither would surprise me. I see them winning this game. And I actually have them going to the Final Four and on. But nothing would surprise me. If they lost to South Dakota State, I wouldn't be surprised.
I would be very surprised. That would be very disappointing.
The Terps need to hit their shots. I mean, I know we've seen Terps games this year where they don't live up to their potential and they don't hit shots and they don't win against teams that they really should have beaten handedly.
Well, like who? I mean, they never lost a game against South Dakota State, which is why we climbed so high. I mean, we lost games against.
That is true. We have
against Michigan. We lost games against Sparty. We lost games against Indiana. Lost games against Purdue.
Yes.
But
all top Big Ten teams.
Okay, outside of Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Michigan, we've lost to nothing but ranked teams.
Okay, but nothing should surprise you. Nothing should surprise you apparently at this point.
To an extent, yes, but this is like This is
first
the
round.
most important
I'm
thing.
putting worst case scenario.
Okay.
I'm just saying, worst case scenario, Maryland starting 5, goes 0 for whatever from the line, or 0 for whatever from the field, and they don't hit their shots this game, and we've seen it before.
They would lose.
I'm putting a 0.5% chance that we lose this game.
I'm saying
that we
that's
lose this game.
Okay.
There's less than a 1% chance that we lose this game.
All right, that's
I'm
all.
rooting for the Terps.
Let's move on.
Okay.
We won. 2 out of 3 are saying we're going to win. The other one is on the fence. So basically 3 out of 3, but we got a fencer over here. Second round is either going to be against Cal or Hawaii, depending on who wins that matchup. Is this something Maryland needs to worry about? In terms of could this be their outing? Is Maryland going to have a problem with Cal or Hawaii in the second round?
I think they get by first 2 rounds. I think they beat Cal or Hawaii, whoever advances. I think they're going to have a tough matchup with Kansas, but I think they can pull it off.
Okay. Let's jump in then to the Sweet 16. I think we're all comfortable saying Maryland has the talent to get through the first 2 rounds. Obviously it's going to be a battle. We're not discrediting any of these universities, but we like to think that, as a team that was ranked number 2 in the nation at one point, that we do have the talent to elevate our game and be one of those teams that are top in the nation. But possibly our Sweet 16 matchup is going to be against Kansas. Depending on if UConn or Colorado are going to pull off something crazy. But otherwise, it's going to be Kansas. Bert, can we get through this team? I mean, they're playing good ball.
It all depends. Honestly, I'm not even that jumpy to get into the Sweet 16. Cal is playing really great basketball at the end of the year. They're very strong at home. Granted, they're not at home. It's in Washington. But, it'll be a home crowd, somewhat of a home game for a tournament game. So I think the Bears can give us maybe more than we can handle, but I'm going to go ahead and take us in that one. And then I think once we get to Kansas, we're going to have to play lights out. It's going to need to be us playing up to the ability of our talents instead of just playing just regular basketball. We need to play as talented as we actually are.
I think that's very true. Well said. Steven, do you agree?
I agree, absolutely. I mean, Maryland is one of those teams where if they're not hitting the shots, they are going down.
It's true.
They have a chance, but
it's true.
They need to play to their potential.
I feel like Maryland has looked a lot better of recent, despite some of their losses. I know they played well against Nebraska in their opener in the Big Ten championship, and I know Nebraska isn't much to gloat about, but still, I want to see good performance. I saw good performance. I saw rebounding. I saw energy. I saw taking care of the basketball, which are things that we were slacking on. And we were able to implement those things against a good Sparty team in the Big Ten championship that was playing good ball as well. I mean, Kansas and Sparty are playing virtually the best basketball right now, and Maryland took Sparty to the wire and lost a tight one. There was some questionable calls.
We didn't even make a field goal for a 10-minute stretch in the last 11 minutes of the game.
And we went freezing cold, and Trimble was 2 for 15. I mean, everything is here for Maryland to succeed. I feel like if it is going to come together, like it will come together, and it will be beautiful. It will be what everyone expected starting the season. And I like the trend that we're in. It seems like we are more focused as of recent, as a team. The team is rebounding a lot better. Sparty, when we played them earlier in the season, their energy level was here, and we were way down here. And Costello looked like a stud, like he was a top pick in the NBA draft. It was a joke. It was a joke, the energy level we put out. But finally, we were able to match them, match their energy level. I know we lost, but still, it gave me hope. It gave me reason to watch this Maryland team in the NCAA tournament instead of rolling my eyes and saying, oh, what? We lost to South Dakota State? Oh, okay. Of course. Like, now I'm kind of vested. Now they gave me a little bit of spark, and it could be just dangling bait in front of me, and I'm stupid enough to bite it. But I really think that this team is focused, and they showed it in the Big Ten tournament, and I think they are going to represent in the NCAA tournament as well. So let's say they get through Kansas. I mean, that would be a tremendous upset. They make it to the Elite Eight. They're facing a team like Villanova or Miami, who are the 2 highest seeds, most probable to make it. versus Maryland, but possibly Arizona or Iowa or Temple. Who do you think is the toughest matchup between those 5 teams? Villanova, Miami, Arizona, Iowa, Temple, for Maryland to face getting into the Final Four, barring if they get past Kansas.
I'll take. Honestly, I think that if whoever wins the Kansas-Maryland game, as long as Maryland makes it that far, will win that part of the bracket. I think Miami's the toughest part. Nova doesn't really show up come March, even in the conference tournaments. Jay Wright, I mean, he's got a good program there, but somehow they just, go unnoticed. So I know Nova and Miami are the top 2 seeds, but I don't know how far I see Nova going, and Miami they've depended on the second half all year. So, they don't show up one second half, they're gone too. So I'll take whoever wins Kansas, Maryland, Cal game. Hopefully we get past that and maybe even past the Jayhawks.
I like it. Steven, do you agree that Kansas is pretty much the precipice? Once we can get past Kansas, then it's kind of a downhill slide?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I don't put much faith in Villanova this year or Miami.
Okay.
I think Kansas and Maryland are the 2 teams that come out of the South.
Well, there you go. Terps fans, it's all post, depending on how we do against Kansas. Is pretty much our toughest matchup until it gets really serious in the Final Four. So hopefully the Terps can make a run, get to the Final Four. Let's talk more about the field now, fellas. Steven, in your opinion, who got snubbed out of this year's NCAA tournament?
Well, I think you look at a team like St. Mary's. They went 27-5 in the West Coast Conference. I'm sorry. West Coast Conference.
Got it.
I think that record alone gives them, a legit shot. I mean, you look at other teams that lost up to 14, 15 games and they're in the tournament. Maybe their schedule's a little bit tougher, but, their record alone, they only lost 5 games, so I think they deserve a shot.
All right. Burkitology?
I'll go with Monmouth. Not to mention their bench, but, on the court, they play well. They were 27-7, 17-3 in conference. Unfortunately, slipped up a little bit in the conference championship to Iona by 3 points. I had them on the bubble and I even had them in going into that, but I'm not the one making the decisions up there. I don't know how Tulsa's doing, but I definitely see Monmouth being a better team and more deserving than Tulsa.
I like both of those calls. Looking at teams like Vanderbilt and teams like Syracuse with 13 losses, very, very questionable those teams are. And I chose SDSU. I went West Coast with Steven, and they had a record of 25-9. They were 16-2 in conference. They played a good final game against Fresno State, who really elevated their game in the conference championship, Mountain West Conference Championship. But I still think SDSU deserved a chance to represent their university this year in the tournament, compared to a team like Vanderbilt that lost by 18 to Wichita State last night. And it's just, that's the way it goes. I just feel like they kind of got snubbed. Should have had a chance. Who knows? But all teams representing in the NIT this year. So good for those programs no matter what. Feel like they got a little snub though. All right. And Burkitology, what is your most intriguing matchup for the first round?
I'll go with Arizona and Wichita State. We're going to shock them.
Tough.
Yep. This is going to be a great game. I'm going to go with Wichita State. Ron Baker and Van Vliet, I think we're going to take care of business. Arizona is kind of, on the down slope in my opinion. They finished third in their conference, the semifinals in the tournament, but Utah and Oregon put it to them. So while they played well at the beginning of the season, I don't think they're trending in the right direction. So I'm gonna go with the Shockers.
Okay, Steven, what do you got for us?
I'm gonna go Texas over Northern Iowa. Ooh. Just for Shaka Smart. I came in to see him in the tournament this year with the new team and see what he can do.
Okay.
Maybe possible Cinderella this year.
All right, very, very good. I'm gonna go with Seton Hall versus Gonzaga. And Burke and I were talking about bubble teams, conference championships, our last show, and one of the things that I specified was that West Coast Conference was very interesting. You had St. Mary's, who was very talented, #1, but you had a Gonzaga team that is hungry. Gonzaga team that has been there before, that has done this, and we talked about the bubble shrinking if this Gonzaga team won their conference championship. And they did. It happened. And now we're looking at this Gonzaga team with momentum, playing against the #6 seeded Seton Hall. And I think this is a very, very interesting matchup. And if Gonzaga can use their momentum and even gather more momentum by beating Seton Hall, it could be very interesting for them for the rest of this NCAA tournament. So my most intriguing matchup is this Seton Hall versus Gonzaga matchup. Look at Seton Hall, who also had a very, very nice conference tournament, but Gonzaga, as the champions of the West Coast Conference, with tons of momentum, I think this is going to be a tremendous basketball game. Fantastic. So stay tuned for that one, Jammer fans. Okay. Who is on your upset alert for the first round in the NCAA tournament? Steven, what do you got?
That's funny you asked that, because I have Gonzaga beating Seton Hall.
Ah, see?
I have some faith in the Zags, and I think they're going to do it this year. 11 seed over 6.
Okay. Very good. Burke, what are you thinking?
I'll go back to what I preceded this with and go with Wichita State over the Wildcats. I think they're trending in opposite directions, so I'll stick with the Shockers in the first round.
Absolutely. Van Fleet, Baker getting it done. I like it. Okay, my first round upset. I got Temple over Iowa. An Iowa team that had so much going for them at one point. They've really, really fallen off. I mean, tremendously fallen off. And this Temple team, I know they didn't win their conference championship, but still, tons of fight. Tons of fight in this Temple team. They could surprise a lot of people. I mean, they could go even farther than that. Than just beating Iowa. You know, potential second round matchup against Villanova, but focused right now on beating Iowa. I think they have the potential as a 10 seed to upset the #7 seeded Iowa. What about any kind of second round matchups? Looking down the road a little bit, Burke. What do you got?
Mine isn't so much of an upset. I mean, it is a lower seed. I have Purdue over Iowa State. I think Purdue's on. If they're on, they're on. And with Hamilton, if he's playing up to his ability, as long as Swanigan's
I was going to say, Swanigan's playing great right now.
As long as he's not getting the ball at the end of the game, I think Purdue can make some serious noise.
Okay, I like it. Steven, what do you got?
You talk a lot about Iowa's having a chance to go down to Temple. I actually like Iowa, and their chances are good against Villanova. It's not so much as not so much as liking Iowa, but disliking Villanova and their chances in the second round.
Okay. I mean, lots to prove there for this Iowa team that's been slacking off. I'm gonna really go on a limb here, folks. Oregon is gonna lose to St. Joe's. I think the West Coast is tremendously overrated this year. You're looking at a 3-seeded Utah team, and I can go over tons of these teams that aren't ahead of them, that are just behind them. That seems absolutely ludicrous that this Utah team is ranked 3rd. Not that I don't like the Utes. I love you, Utes. But that's the respect the Pac-12 is getting, and I personally don't think they've earned it at all. We've seen a trend where the East Coast usually comes out on top. The West Coast teams don't do well in the NCAA tournament. It's always East Coast teams that are representing, whether it's Midwest, or East. It's never West Coast. It just simply isn't. I think this Oregon team is overrated. I think you got a St. Joe's team that's hungry, and if they can get through their first round matchup, I definitely see them battling Oregon. I could see an upset coming here. So I'm taking Oregon as my upset alert for the second round against St. Joseph's. Look out now. All right, let's talk Cinderellas. Always fun. Always fun to kind of fill out your bracket, and pick kind of some crazy thing that you didn't think were going to happen, but it's just fun. You fill out your brackets, and who knows, maybe, why not? Then when it happens, it's like, wow, I picked that. Wow, yay. Of course, there you go. You laugh. It's fun. It is. It's a ton of fun. So, Bert, who is your Cinderella this year?
My Cinderella this year is Yale.
Oh.
I haven't beat the Baylor Bears. Baylor Bears have lost 3 or 4. Granted, it's in a pretty tough conference in the Big 12. Yale had a very strong year, and I think if they can get past Baylor, they're going to take some momentum into that Duke game. And Grace Allen may trip up one more time, and Yale takes that game.
No pun. All right, smart boys. Let's see if you can win it. Steven, what do you got for us?
I got Gonzaga. I got Gonzaga going to the Sweet 16. That's my Cinderella. I have
Okay.
them losing to eventual chance Michigan State. I feel like if they were in a different bracket, they could have advanced further. But that's my Cinderella for this year.
All right. I like it. And I know this is a little aggressive because the outcome is still yet to know. But this Michigan team that has gone up against a lot of top competition this year. They've won games against Maryland, against Purdue, against Indiana, against Texas, even Big 12 opponents. They've won big games. They know how to win big games. I know they've hiccuped. I know they've lost games, by double digits. They've had several of their losses were by double digits. But they still know how at some point to elevate their game. And they had a nice showing in the Big Ten Championship. They won 2 games in the Big Ten Championship, took down Iowa, really when their life was on the line of getting in, when they were on the bubble, took down Iowa, kind of solidifying their chance in the NCAA tournament. I think they could be scary come tournament time. So I got the Michigan Wolverines as my Cinderella story for this year. I think they could definitely win 1 game, if not 2. Let's move on. Which team has the most to prove in this year's tournament? Stephen, who do you think?
I think Oklahoma. I think they should have been 1 seed. I think Buddy and the Sooners have much to prove this year. I think that they have a legit shot at winning it, and I think they're going to prove it this year.
Very good point. I mean, ranked high all year, fell back just a little bit, but don't want to be forgotten. Absolutely.
Right.
Oklahoma.
Lost by a half second. You're not even a half second.
Lost by a
Less than half court shot.
Like a team like Oregon, why would they rank over top the Sooners?
You got me. I'm not in the committee. You got me. I don't see it. Personally, I was just telling you, I think the Pac-12 is overrated.
Yeah, well.
So I like it. I like it. Burkoutology, what do you got for us?
Seems like we say year after year, Jay Wright's Wildcats, Villanova. It just seems like they don't show up. They don't show up. They win their first game, and all of a sudden, second game comes around. They think they're going to walk right through, and then the other team hands it to them. So until they prove me wrong, I'm gonna say Villanova.
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate. No, I can't argue with that knowledge. No one's afraid of you, Villanova. I hate to say it. Stevie's got it right. Burke has his stuff. Like, you haven't proven anything. Any team that's going against you thinks they have a chance to win. UNC Asheville thinks they have a chance to beat you guys as a 15 seed. Just because they know your history, they know there's so much pressure on them. I agree with you. I think Michigan State has the most to prove in the tournament this year. When you look at them, they were ranked number 1 for several weeks, kind of dropped off, have been battling back, playing tremendous basketball, still only got a 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, though they're ranked the 2nd overall best team in the NCAA. Now, I think there's a little bit of a chip on the shoulder for Sparty. Izzo will focus his boys and say, hey, put that to the side. Let's focus on playing basketball. But still, I think they have a lot to show. And I think people are kind of writing them off, as a 2 seed. I know it's still a high seed, but it's not the kind of in-your-face, flamboyant 1 seed. Like, we're a 1 seed. We're one of the top teams. I think Sparty kind of has that in the back of their mind. I think they're kind of like, hey, look, what? No, definitely not. And I think they have a lot to prove, and I think they will prove it. I think they are well coached. Obviously, last year made a tremendous run. This year, looking more talented, more poised. Izzo will elevate his boys. I guarantee it. I think Sparty has a lot to prove this year in the NCAA tournament. Well, you know what? Why don't we jump to our last break? Got Final Four projections coming up and NCAA champions. Don't go anywhere, Jammer fans. You're watching the Jam. Welcome back, Jammer fans. To our conclusion of the show, we're going to talk NCAA tournament. We're going to talk the Final Four. We're going to talk NCAA championship. Before that, I want to give a big shout out to Junk Masters. Junk hauling and moving needs? Call Junk Masters. Our business is picking up. So let's dive into Final Four projections. Burkitology, break it down for me. What do you got?
Final Four. I got Kansas coming out of the South. Unfortunately, Terps don't make it. Out of the East, I got the Tar Heels. I think the Wildcats will give them a good game, but I'll take the Heels. Coming out of the Midwest, Sparty. I don't see anybody in that bracket giving them a run for their money. They've had Virginia Cavaliers numbers for years it seems. So I think they're walking to the Final Four. And then in the West, we talked about how weak the West is. So is the West. The West is weak in the bracket as well. So I have the Aggies, Texas A&M, gig 'em. I think they're going to come out of that weak bracket. So I have Kansas, UNC, Sparty, and Texas A&M.
Okay, that's your Final Four. We're going to get into the NCAA Championship. But first, I want to hear Steven's Final Four. Go ahead.
My Final Four, I actually have Maryland coming out of the South. I'm a big fans of the Terps. Don't let this broadcast deter you. I am fans. If they play their potential, they will win this tournament.
Whoa, all right, let's move on. Who's the next?
Okay, I got Oklahoma, UNC, and Michigan State. I think those are the best 4 teams we got.
Okay, I like all those picks, especially Maryland. I really, really like it. Sadly, I'm not as brave as you are. I'm not.
Sometimes you gotta go on the limb.
I'm not. I worry about Melo and his inability to get it done. I got Kansas out of the South, and I got Oklahoma. I really think Buddy Hield and this team is ready for what's ahead of them. Tough road throughout the Big 12. I don't think there's going to be any surprises for them. They've played top competition all year. I like Oklahoma. UNC, same thing. I mean, ACC is a tough road, playing UVA, playing Miami, playing Duke, playing Louisville, playing Notre Dame. They've played tremendous competition. They're ready to play. Bryce Johnson looks fantastic, and I think Page will be there along with him. Michigan State, can't say enough. Izzo always elevates his boys. Even if they were a 5 or a 7 or an 8 seed, you would almost pick them to come out of it just because the way Izzo gets his team to play better in the NCAA tournament. So my 4 are Kansas, Oklahoma, UNC, and Sparty. Just tremendous teams that know how to get it done, will elevate their game. Well, let's move on to the championship and your champion, Steven.
My championship, I have Oklahoma over Michigan. Michigan State over Oklahoma.
Okay.
I think Sparty is too much this year, and it's going to show in the tournament.
Final score?
Final score, I got 77-75 Michigan State.
Okay, tight.
Yes.
Tight one.
Hopefully a great game.
Obviously, 77-75. It's going to be a great game.
Hope so.
Bracketology.
I want to add something actually. Since you guys are so high on the Sooners, I want to say they have a decent chance of losing to VCU in the second round.
Oh.
So I'll just throw it out there. I have the Sooners moving on, but watch out. Watch out for VCU. Moving on.
I'm sorry. Who's on upset alert for second round? Right. Okay. No, moving on. You're right. Yes.
To the championship, I have Sparty over Kansas. It doesn't make sense to me to not pick the 2 teams that are playing the best right now with 2 great coaches and teams that are playing team ball. Both these teams are playing team ball. I don't think there's a better coach making in-game adjustments than Izzo. And, you could throw him as a 16 and he'd still probably make it. So I'll go with Izzo and Sparty and Valentine as much as I'm tired of hearing about it. No offense, Enzo. But I'll go ahead and give you the ship and the accolades that you deserve.
It's hard to root against him. He's such a good kid and tremendous talent, does everything for his team. LeBron-esque type player when it comes to boards, assists, points. He's willing to give it all, defensively and offensively. Very, very good picks. I'm going to take UNC and Oklahoma, though. I think UNC is just so talented. They're very deep and they're so talented, and they can get out and run with just about anybody, and they can put up points. But OU, I think they are on a mission this year. I really, really do. I think it started from the beginning of the year where they got respect and people were considering Oklahoma as a good team, and then they really jumped up there and got the top spot. They were number 1 for a while, fell back 1-2, 1-2, then slipped off towards the end of the season. But I really think they'll regain focus, and I think they put up a fight playing against UNC, but in the end, I got UNC winning. I just think there's just way too much talent on this UNC team. I have them winning 82-75. I mean, both teams can put up points. Buddy Hield could shoot. You got Page, you got Johnson. Lots of talent offensively for both teams. Got UNC, national champion. As much as that pains me to say, as a former ACC, Maryland fan, now Big Ten, tremendous hate for UNC and Duke. Tremendous. But got to give credit where credit's due. And I think that UNC will find a way to get it done. So there you have it, Jammer fans. NCAA Tournament, March Madness. Don't miss a single beat. It's going to be fantastic. We would love for you guys to subscribe to our show. Follow our YouTube channel, BCAM Sports Jam. You can also follow us on Twitter at BCAM Sports Jam. We'd love to comment, or we'd love to interact with you guys. Leave us comments, leave us likes, subscribe to our channel. We greatly appreciate it. Well, for Steven, for Burkitology, and for Brad Cameron, thanks for jamming with us, Jammer fans.